Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the last library showcase. I hope you've enjoyed them. I've had fun doing them, and we've had some really great guest readers too along the way. But our schedule's changing, so we're changing with it. So today, my friends, I have some special things to share with you. So I happen to be a person who loves words. Many librarians do. There's this book called The Boy Who Loved Words by Ronnie Schotter and illustrated by Giselle Potter. There is this stack of flashcards that I borrowed from our friend, Mrs. Weiss. Words are really important. Without them, it can be hard to communicate. And communication is one of the most important things that you can do. There is a book called Max's Words by Kate Banks, and Max decides that he needs something to collect. And so he decides to collect words, and the words become a journey. Then we have the right word. It's about Roget and the thesaurus. Roget is the creator of the thesaurus. Thesauruses come in handy when you're doing your own writing. This is his story. You probably have used a dictionary, but more often than not these days, you actually go online to probably dictionary.com. But we have used the dictionary to play games like the dictionary challenge, the dictionary relay. Okay, you find out all their meanings. And dictionaries are even written in picture format. We have this picture dictionary that can help our youngest Spanish speakers with English. And there are even some folk tale or folk literature. Like this one is The Little Reed Hen. It's a takeoff on The Little Red Hen, who doesn't get the help that she needs, and everybody wants to share in the spoils or the good stuff at the end. So words are important. Today I have for you the fantastic flying books of Morris Lesmore. It's written by William Joyce. Now I'm going to share the book with you. Later you're going to want to check out the Academy Award winning short that is based on the book. And you can find all of that in the link that I will share with you. So sit back, relax, and don't forget, there's also The Word Collector by Peter H. Reynolds. Wow, so many books about words. Words are very important. Morris Lesmore loved words. He loved stories. He loved books. Hey, does that sound like somebody you know? His life was a book of his own writing, one orderly page after another. He would open it every morning and write of his joys and sorrows, of all that he hoped and everything that he hoped for. But every story had its upsets. One day, the sky darkened, the winds blew and blew. Till everything Morris knew was scattered, even the words of his book. He didn't know what to do or which way to go, so he began to wander and wander. Then a happy bit of happenstance came his way. Rather than looking down as had become his habit, Morris Lesmore looked up. Drifting through the sky above him, Morris saw a lovely lady. She was being pulled along by a festive squadron of flying books. Morris wondered if his book could fly, but it could not. It would only fall to the ground with a depressing thud. The flying lady knew Morris simply needed a good story, so she sent him her favorite. The book was an amiable fellow and urged Morris to follow him. I know that guy. The book led him to an extraordinary building where many books apparently nested. What kind of place could that be? Morris slowly walked inside and discovered the most mysterious and inviting room he had ever seen. It was filled with the fluttering of countless pages, and Morris could hear the faint chatter of 1,000 different stories, as if each book was whispering an invitation to adventure. That's my kind of place. Then his new friend flew up to him and landed on his arm. It held itself open as if hoping to be read. The room rustled to life, and so Morris's life among the books began. Morris tried to keep the books in some sort of order, but they always mixed themselves up. The tragedies needed cheering up and would visit with the comedies. The encyclopedias, weary of facts, would relax with the comic books and fictions. And all in all, it was an agreeable jumble. Morris found great satisfaction in caring for the books, gently fixing those with fragile bindings and unfolding the dog-eared pages of others. Sometimes Morris would become lost in a book and scarcely emerge for days. Morris liked to share the books with others. Sometimes it was a favorite that everyone loved, and other times he found a lonely little volume whose tale was seldom told. Everyone's story matters, said Morris, and all the books agreed. At night, after all the stories that needed telling had been told and everyone had settled down to their proper places on the shelves, the great big dictionary would get in the last word. It was then that Morris Lesmore would once again write in his own book. He wrote of his joys and sorrows, of all that he knew and everything he hoped for. The days passed, so did the months. And then years and years. And Morris Lesmore became stooped and crinkly, but the books never changed. Their stories stayed the same. Now his old friends took care of him the way he had once cared for them, and they read themselves to him each and every night. Then one day he filled the last page in his book. He looked up and said with a bittersweet sigh, "I guess it's time for me to move on." The books were sorry, but they understood. Morris put on his hat and took his cane. As he went to the door, he turned and smiled, then waved goodbye. "I'll carry you all in here," he said, and pointed to his heart. The books waved their pages, and Morris Lesmore flew away. And as he flew, he changed back to the way he'd been that long ago day when they'd all first met. The books were quiet for a while. Then they noticed that Morris Lesmore had left something behind. "It's his book," said his oldest friend. Inside was Morris's story, all of his joys and sorrows, all that he knew, and everything that he had hoped for. Then the books heard a small, expectant sound. There in the doorway was a little girl. She looked around with wonder. Then something fantastic happened. Morris Lesmore's book flew up to her and opened its pages. The girl began to read, and so our story ends as it began. With the opening of a book. Now, my friends, I will share some activities with you on another slide or so, but I just wanted to share with you. Books take us places when we have nowhere to go. Sometimes it's fun to find an adventure waiting for you in a book. If you don't have anything to do, you can always go on a journey with a good book. Thanks for tuning in.
Also, to share today's book, The Word Collector, written and illustrated by Peter H. Reynolds.
We chose this book because it illustrates the transformative power of words. I love words.
Yeah, your favorite. So let's get started.
Okay. The Word Collector. Collectors collect things. Some people collect stamps. Some people collect coins. Others collect rocks. Some collect art. Some collect bugs. Others collect baseball cards. Some people collect comic books. And Jerome? What did he collect?
Jerome collected words. He collected words he heard. My trip to Peru was perfectly pleasant. Certain words caught his attention.
He collected words he saw. Willow tea shop. Certain words jumped out at him.
He collected words he read. Emerald. Certain words popped off the page.
Short and sweet words. Spark, bloom, drift, dream. Two-syllable treats. Treasure, motive, whisper, glimmer, hover, candid.
And multi-syllable words that sounded like songs. Guacamole, kaleidoscope, wonderful, geometry, symphony.
There were words he did not know the meaning of at first, but they were marvelous to say. Aromatic, vociferous, effervescent.
There were words whose sounds were perfectly suited to their meaning. Molasses, torrential, sludge, bellow, Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Jerome filled his scrapbooks with more and more of his favorite words.
Jerome's collections grew. He began organizing them. Dreamy, science, sad, action, poetic. One day, while transporting them,
Jerome slipped and his words went flying.
oh my goodness. As he began to pick them up, he noticed his collections had become jumbled. Big words next to little words, sad words next to dreamy words.
Jerome began stringing words together. Words he'd not imagined being side by side.
He used his words to write poems. He used his poems to make songs. They moved, they delighted.
Some of his simplest words were both powerful. I understand. I'm sorry. Thank you.
So today,
You matter.
I have
Jerome eagerly collected more and more of his favorite words.
a person.
The more words he knew, the more clearly he could share with the world what he was thinking, feeling, and dreaming. One breezy afternoon, Jerome climbed the highest hill, pulling a wagon packed with his word collection.
He smiled as he emptied his collection of words into the wind.
He saw children in the valley below, scurrying about, collecting words from the breeze.
Jerome had no words to describe how happy that made him. The end. That was beautiful.
I love that book.
He's the word guy. And
I like words.
he looks kind of like Jerome, too. They have the same ears.
Mine are a little bigger than Jerome's.
A lot bigger.